Hi, welcome to week number 7 of Moda's Sampler Block Shuffle. This week we are doing the 3 blocks that are 19, which is by Kansas Troubles, 20, which is by A Quilting Life, and 21, which is by Minnick and Simpson. So it's time to get sewing. We're getting so close to the end that I really can't believe it. So here we go. Block number 19 is by Kansas Troubles, and it is made up of 4 of the Cat's Cradle blocks. I'm going to show you which one is the Cat's Cradle. Let's see if I can grab some scraps. So this little teeny tiny block here, this one is known as the Cat's Cradle block. So it's made up of 4 of the Cat's Cradle, some flying geese, and a square, and then rectangles. So it's not a difficult block. The Cat's Cradle, we're going to want to make sure that we've really got it nice and square because it's on the corner. We want it square. So I have already laid out both of my blocks, and they kind of look like a mess, but they're actually somewhat organized. I have also already, I'll show you on the back of this one, I've also already drawn my sewing lines so that for my flying geese, so that I'm ready for those. So the first thing I'm going to do on this block is I'm going to divide out my Cat's Cradle block pieces because really that's what I want to concentrate on first. So I'm just going to set everything else kind of aside. All right, so here are all of my Cat's Cradle blocks. This is just the top part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew one side first on all of them. So I'll put my, probably better off starting on this side. I'm going to put it over, and I'm going to sew my 1/4 inch seam. Then I'm going to take it over to the ironing table. I'm going to press it, and then I'm going to sew this, I'm going to press this open. So I'll set my seam, then I'll press it open. Then once this piece is attached, then I'm going to come back and I'm going to attach my next piece. And this is where it gets tricky, and I want you to lay your piece down so that you can really see what you're doing. I'm going to then attach this piece, and that will fold over like that. And what this does is it just makes a nice big triangle. I'm going to do that on both this one and my second block, my second colorway. And then I'm going to come back and show you what they all look like when this part of the Cat's Cradle is done. I've got all of my little pieces done. But before I go on, I'm going to do a couple of things that I think are important. See all these little dog ears? I'm going to go ahead and get those all clipped off because I want to keep it clean underneath on this one because I can just pile up. I'm making a mess. I can just pile it all up and make a real mess. But anyhow, I want to keep it cleaned up underneath. So I'm going to get all of these trimmed off. Then once I've trimmed these off, I'm going to then get ready to add the bottom piece to my Cat's Cradle. I obviously am making a disaster today out of my sewing room. I don't know what's wrong with me, but I'm making a real mess. So let me clean up part of my mess that I can get to. There, okay. So these are my Cat's Cradle. They look really good. One of the things that I wanted to tell you that I did do on this, when I cut these triangles, what they had you do, I'm gonna go back to the directions. They had you cut 1 7/8 squares and then cut them on the diagonal in half. I cut 2-inch squares cut them in half on the diagonal. And why I did that is because when I now go to put these pieces together, see, I've got my square. I've already drawn my line, okay? And I want to be able to go right across here when I sew it so that I don't lose my point. So do you remember how last week, I think it was, I showed you how to double check to make sure that you've got your point? I'm going to stick my pin down where the intersection of those two seams are, right in that Y, and I'm going to turn it over. And honestly, this is not a try. I just did it the first time. See how I'm coming out right on the line with my needle? My pin came right up. I know that if I sew my one thread over, I'm not going to lose my seams. I've got them all 8 of them sewn. So now what I need to do is I need to do some cleanup again. And I've already taken my ruler, my little ruler, and I measured them, and I am at 2.5 inches. So that made me really happy because that means my blocks are square. I'll put my little ruler away, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do on each one of these now to clean them up. I'm going to first take off my dog ears, my little puppy ears. Then I'm going to open up my piece. I'm going to turn it over, and I'm just going to trim it right across the back, okay? So that I've got a hold of it. And when I pressed it all towards the block, the solid piece of fabric, not the pieced piece of the cat's cradle. So there's my little corner piece. I'm going to get all these trimmed, and then I'll show you the next step. So here are my little cat's cradles. Oh, let me get that string off. Here are my little cat's cradles. And the next thing I'm going to do is work on my flying geese. And I'm going to do my flying geese the way I've done all of them. So it's nothing that you're not used to. I'm going to sew them all onto the right side. I'll press them, trim them, then sew them all onto the left side. All right, so I've got all of my flying geese done, and I wanted to show you what it looks like at this stage. I'm almost at a 9 block. I've got to get to that point, and then it flows together like all the other ones have. So the next thing that I'm going to do is sew these pieces together. And when I do that, I'm going to take my one piece, my solid piece, I'm going to lay on top my pieced piece. I'm going to line them up. And when I sew them, I'm going to sew them right straight across here because I want to, again, use that X marks my spot. So I'll get those all done, and then we will be at the 9 patch piece. Here are my 2 blocks, and they look totally different. And the reason why they do, because I want you to really realize this, is on this block, according to the pattern, I probably should have had this a light color. Because if you can see down here, it's got the dark and then a light. Well, I didn't want it that way. So I did it the way I wanted to because I figured it was my block. So I have dark on the outside, and just look at how different these 2 blocks look. I can't wait to get them sewn together. All right, so we're at a 9 patch spot. And you know I really like to take my blocks down to the simplest form possible. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I've got a real simple and easy 9 patch. I'm going to sew these 2, then these 2, then these 2. Then I'm going to join this, this, this. I will press them. Then I will join these 2 and then this one and press it again. And when I come back, I will show you exactly how I've pressed them. So here is block number 19, designed by Kansas Troubles Quilters. So now it's time to move on to block number 20. block number 20, and it has been designed by a Quilting Life. And this is, I believe, the bear paw block. At least that's what it looks like to me. How you make this is it's made with half square triangles, and you can see, I hope, I've drawn my line on my lighter piece of fabric, and I'm going to sew a 1/4 of an inch away from this line and away from this line. So I'll first sew a 1/4 of an inch from here going down, then I'll turn around and sew a 1/4 of an inch down there, then I'll cut it on the line and press it to the darker of the two fabrics, and then put the block together. This is going to be a really quick block. This is not a difficult one at all. So I have 2 different colorways. I have a cream or a beige and a pink, and a beige and a blue. So I'll be back with all my half square triangles so you can see how I put the blocks together. I am back. I have sewn the half square triangles together into units of 2 for my second colorway. And the reason why I did, and the reason why I'm stopping to video this, I wanted to point something out to you that kind of is important. When you go to put these half square triangle units together, they aren't all facing in the exact same direction. So you can, like on these 2, if I set them up, see, they're not going the same direction. So what I would suggest doing is what I've done here, and that is taking the entire block and laying it out in the direction that you need to, that it's going to be in, and putting it together in units of 2 like I did on this one. So I'll sew these 2 together, put it back in here, sew these 2, these 2, these 2, these 2, these, and these. Then I'm going to get them pressed and put them right back here again so that I can see that I have them all in the right order. Then once I do that, I'm going to take this block down to a 4 patch. So I will sew, I'll probably take these and sew it together like this. Take these 3, sew it together, make a row, and then put all of these together to make 1 block. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks to put all together at the end. Nothing complicated about this block, just you've got a lot of little pieces, so we're going to have a lot of seams on the back side. So I'm going to start getting all of these put together. I'll probably come back when I've got it to the point of a 4 patch, just so that you can see which way I've pressed it to get it all together. Here is, I think, the corrected block 20. Here we go. It's block 20. This is again by a Quilting Life, and I will be really honest with you. I had a really difficult time with this one. My best hints to you are square everything up. When you go to do, let me see if I can point them to you. These half square triangles here, make certain that you square them, you trim them up to 1.5 inches. That's really important. And do your best to finger press, not press them, to get them to lay flat, and then press them when they all get put together. I normally press as I go. I did this one, press as I went. It's pretty good. It's a little puffy. I'm gonna try to just let it relax a little bit, then I'll press it again. This one lays much flatter. This one I did not press until it was completely put together. The blocks obviously look completely and totally different based on the colors and where they were placed. This one, I pressed it the way that it would go. When I got to the center, you can see all my threads because I did have to take it out a couple times. When I got to the center, I did the round where I took out a couple of the stitches. When you stitch across the last time, you've got stitches here. I took those out, which allowed me to press my seams in opposing directions so that I could lay this one flatter. So there are the two blocks. This one was, it wasn't impossible, but I think because these little teeny tiny 1.5 inch blocks, they were a little bit tough, but I'm glad I did it twice, and I'm really glad that it did finally come out. So make certain that you lay this block out in front of you so that you can see it, because these half square triangles have to be in certain ways in order for it to work properly. And if they aren't, your block gets messed up. And if you want to ask me how I know that because I took the block out more than once. So that is block number 20, and now we're off to 21. This is block number 21. It's by Mink and Simpson, and I'm gonna get my block all laid out. So I'm gonna start by putting this one on, and I sew from here to here. Then when I get all done sewing all of mine, I'm going to press this one over, and it'll look something like this, excuse me, the way it is. For a flying geese, we would put it like this. Well, for this block, we're gonna set it like this. And then we're going to, we're gonna press it like this. And isn't that gonna be the neatest looking block? I really like this one. So here we go. Here is block number 21 by Mink and Simpson. And this is a really nice zigzag pattern. I actually am considering this pattern for a border all the way around my quilt. I haven't figured out if I want to do it with the dark as the center fabric or the light. I really am thinking that I'd like to do it with the dark. Anyhow, I haven't decided yet, but I do really like this border. This has a border. I fold it in half and then you'll see. Now see, wouldn't that make a really cool border? Yeah, I really like this one. With this block, what's important is that when you're lining up these points, that you nestle those seams together. Those are the really important ones. I did okay on them. I'm not gonna rip them out again. I've ripped these blocks out a couple of times because when you're putting it together, please be aware that you're doing it in two separate directions. So when you're doing this, you are laying your fabrics in two different directions, and that's kind of important because that's quite honestly where I ended up having to take some things out. So I'm gonna show you. There are two different, you're gonna start with your 3.5 inch rectangle, and that's what this is for me. I'm gonna lay them both down for you. Here's my second one. Now on one of these rectangles, let me get them both down. On one of these rectangles, you are going to sew from point to point. You're gonna press this one over like this. Stick a pin in it for you. And then you're gonna take this one and you're gonna lay that one down, and you're again gonna sew point to point. Press that and open that. And I'm gonna pin it. This one I'm gonna take. All right. So the next one that we're doing, I've pinned that right to the paper. All right, so that's one way. You're gonna make 4 blocks in that direction. Then this is your next one. And on this one, you're going to sew this point. Whoops, sorry. On this second one, you're gonna sew this point to this point. So let me grab a pin and I'm gonna fold it over it back. All right. Then on your next piece, you're going to lay this one down. And you're going to sew from this point to this point. So let me turn this over and show you. So now what you can see is you're sewing the same process but in different directions. And by doing that, you create this really cute little zigzag. So I wanted to make certain that I pointed that out to you. Nothing difficult about these blocks at all. The only thing that I will tell you is on both the number 20 and number 21, the placement of your fabrics is really important. So lay them down in front of you so that you can see exactly what you're sewing to what. I hope you enjoyed sewing with me for this week's Moda Sampler Block Shuffle. This week we did 3 blocks, number 19, which is by Kansas Troubles. And these are my 2 blocks. Here's one. And here's my second one. And number 20, which is by A Quilting Life. And here's my block, my first one. And here is my second one. And the third one that we did was by Minnick and Simpson. And here is my first block. And set on point, it will look like this. And here is my second block, set on point. So next week, we're going to be working on 22, 23, and 24. And I'm really getting excited about them. I can't wait to start really putting them together and figuring out how I'm going to lay them out and what they're going to look like. So next week we're going to work on 22, 23, and 24. I haven't actually looked at the patterns yet, but I guess I probably better so that I can get sewing on them. Let me know what you think about the idea of using something like this as a border around the quilt. I just really like this pattern, and I think it could add a lot of interest to it. I'm just really curious as to what you think. What's going on here in the studio is my husband is currently building my design wall. So pretty soon we are going to be able to put all of these blocks up on the design wall and you can really see what they all look like. And I cannot wait to do that. I am really itching at getting in front of it and being able to play with these blocks. I still am probably going to do 2 separate layouts. I just think that based on the fact that I've got so many blocks, it's 2 definite quilts. I might as well put it together in 2 different quilts and be able to show you just what a different setting is going to do to the entire look of your quilt. So that's where I'm at right now. I wanted to tell you thank you so much for following me and for being a part of this shuffle with me. Your notes and your emails and your comments on these weekly videos have been just wonderful. I have read each and every one of them, and I can't tell you how much it means to me that you are participating in this. Even if you're not quilting right now with me, I'm really glad that you're going out and getting the blocks and saving them so that you can do something with them later on. So again, thank you so much for joining me. Please, if you haven't already, make sure that you subscribe. And if you like this video and would like to see more of this type of video, please give me a thumbs up so that I know that this is what you'd like. Thanks so much, and I'll see you again next week. Bye.